This is the end of John Samul's unique woodworking. The Wedge World Order is using the coronavirus charade to collapse the economy. As people's incomes and financial future become extremely uncertain or are lost altogether, the concern over the cabinetry in their houses will completely vanish. Who gives a fuck what the cabinets look like or if they're old? That will not be a priority in anyone's lives anymore. Many of these people's businesses are shut down, so who the hell is going to invest a few $1,000s into kitchen cabinets when we might soon not have fucking food to put on the table? Some of John Samul's customers are also proven Masonic scum, Mormon scum, Bavarian Illuminati scum. Call them, whatever the fuck you want. They may be low level in the cabal that is responsible for the mess the world is in. But even so, the cabal might ensure that in some way they're taken care of in a crisis, while everyone else is fucked. Now, the dumbass John Samul is thinking this is a real virus, exactly as the news presents it. And since the virus is no big deal, and it appears to be killing less people than the flu does every year, then surely saner heads will prevail. And any day now, the lockdowns will go away and everything will return back to normal. How could this be a hoax? How could this be a Wedge World Order power grab? How could this be a Wedge World Order financial heist? The Fox News never brings up the wedge factor. In reality, it's actually a Bolshevik revolution, when you think about it. But anyway, the idea that this is a hoax, and a psyop, and a doorway to tyranny, is something that cannot be accepted as reality by him, because his fucking fictional novels and action movies have taught him to believe the government loves us, and only wants the best for us. So, this all has to end at some point before it gets any worse. There cannot be such a Wedge World Order conspiracy. Except this is all a script about crashing the economy, a scripted psyop, and we can only guess at what was scripted and how far they could run it. It could be 18 months, like they hint. With everyone out of work for 18 months, hell, even for a month, that's enough to make people so broke they can't afford food. Who the fuck is gonna think about cabinets? Cabinets are a frivolous fucking thing to spend money on. It's like spending money on Call of Duty DLC. I say if this goes on for a month, if they script it so there is martial law, if they escalate it to a point where the fucking military is patrolling the streets, no one is going to be thinking about any fucking cabinets. I predict that in the fallout of this, John Samul will not find one new customer for 5 months or more. And for someone who survives paycheck to paycheck, that's it. It's over. Wouldn't it be lovely to see John Samul get a $500 fine as he drives to a job, because installing cabinets is not an essential reason to be out and about during a coronavirus lockdown. He thinks he's such an exemplary citizen, always proud of the idea that no matter how big the police state may get, no matter how much mass surveillance is put up, none of it will ever affect him, because he's got nothing to hide. His life is boring. He doesn't kill anyone or steal anything, so what's the big deal? He just honestly works. But he was fucking warned that when the son of a bitches bring their police state about, they will contrive something. So no matter how law-abiding you were under the old system, no matter how law-abiding you try to be under their new system, they will set it up so you will inadvertently be turned into a criminal, or at least be put into a position where they have carte blanche to treat you like a criminal. And this lockdown is absolutely perfect for making just about anyone into a criminal. Assholes who take pride and joy in the police. Assholes who take pride and joy in the military. Who take pleasure in reading the bullshit novels glorifying the pigs and the military. They deserve to have these government entities shove a boot up their fucking ass. The asshole John Samul always was itching to have the police arrest me for something, for standing up for myself. I am not allowed to stand up for myself. Oh, how ironic it will be to see someone like that go down first under the system that they have so much respect for, a system they love to watch crush others underfoot, and take pride and joy in that. He was also advised how wonderful it would be to rob and kill those customers instead of working for them. Why? Because they are rich, and they are not giving away fucking free money to him and me. But you are going to have to guess who suggested him that idea, because I'm not gonna tell. But anyway, imagine, I show up to a fucking house, like this, maybe 3 times a month on average. I move a cabinet or two. I hand some tools, and when I go home, I have nothing. I am not fucking allowed by this fucking system to have the same house for handing some tools to a guy who is happy to be a wedge world order slave. So someone told him fantasies, such as like, what if he had a gun? He distracts the customers by engaging them in a discussion of work, while the guy who works for him walks into the house with a toolbox. And the customers don't expect it. They think it's some woodworking tool. And instead the box pops open and out comes a sawed-off shotgun, and it's fired into the customers' backs so they die. Then all their expensive stuff in the house is loaded into the van, and screw working for them. John Samul is only working for them because the police forces him to. If there was no police or mass surveillance, it would be totally irrational to work for them and not own the same expensive shit they own while working for them. And that alone is so infuriating and frustrating, that the police forces you to work. And if you don't believe in simply taking with violence what is necessary, so that you don't get ground into the dirt in this wedge world order, then okay. As an alternative, he was told the customers need to be intimidated with fear of violence into paying 4 or 5 times the amount the job is worth. And John Samul was advised that if the customers don't like the deal, then he should threaten to go down to Skid Row and start passing out flyers that will call to action, flyers that will have a call to action written on them. These flyers would be passed out at Skid Row to rally the homeless, to form an army, and make way to the house of the rich customer, where 200 homeless will show up, armed with blunt and sharp-edge weapons, and John Samul will even pay for the bus tickets, or whatever. And they'll be armed with blunt and sharp-edge weapons, whatever items they can use to stab and smash, and they will make a run on the customer's rich house and strip everything of value. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed Bavarian Illuminati daughters will be stretched out on the floor and raped by dirty bums who are smashing and grabbing everything. Why? Because the laborers are tired of not being rich like these people. The bums are tired of living in tents and not being rich like these people. Bitches, I fucking worked and I still don't have what you have. Now we're taking it all by force, is what the laborers like John Samul will end up saying. The bums living on Skid Row will then be taking that which is owed. Oh, and speaking of not having guns, here is what's going to happen as civilization collapses due to the coronavirus Masonic charade. These people that you see here on the screen will begin starving, and that will drive them insane, and they will be the first to run riot and loot. And hopefully they loot John Samul's customers for not giving me free money. Hopefully the customers' hot daughters, who would never have sex with me because I'm not man enough, will be stretched out on the ground by hundreds of these guys, and they'll be taking turns with them. If John can't get a cabinetry job after the financial crash, the Bavarian Illuminati asshole landlord from whom he rents is going to kick him out. John was suggested that if that happens, he needs to get a chainsaw and bring down a huge palm tree onto the roof of the house as vandalism. So the Bavarian Illuminati asshole landlord will have to spend several grand to repair the roof. But let's say he is not kicked out. Then these guys, about 20 of them, will descend onto the property as civilization collapses into lawlessness. They will knock on the door and ask for food. When you don't give away all of your food to them, they'll think, these white people are being racist for not giving us free food. A black guy from the ghetto will sucker punch John Samul in the face like the knockout game that Colin Flaherty reports on. Then they will kick and beat him for supposedly having a racist ancestor who owned black slaves, even though John's ancestors are Polish and had nothing to do with any black slavery in USA. John will try to scare them by yelling that he has a security camera and it's recording them. Well, they are not going to give a rat's shit about his fucking security camera. In fact, they'll have their own cell phones out, recording the video to document the fond memory of beating him to death. Cops will not show up because they'll be busy with riots and looting elsewhere. John Samul was against me owning a gun because I have a school shooter type personality, and he was praising the anti-gun laws that inhibit people like me from easily buying a gun. He thought his beloved police will save him if anything ever goes wrong. Well, the Wedge World Order pigs are not going to save you. Even more lovely would be to see these guys grab and rape my mother, who is in her 50s. Oh, they don't care about age when it comes to rape. They've been caught raping geriatric women. As long as it has a vagina, it's all good. So it would be lovely if my mother was repeatedly raped by these guys, while they make chimp-like hooting and shrieking of joy sounds. I wonder what they'd do to me, though. Maybe while they're busy at the house, I'll have time to run into the hills, but then what? The reason I have such a great resentment for my family is because they kept fucking up my life, constantly pushing me to do shit that the Wedge World Order commands us to do. Oh, you gotta earn money in some Wedge World Order business. Oh, you gotta go to the Wedge World Order school and not miss a day. Oh, you gotta take the Wedge World Order vaccines. They licked the asses. They licked the asses of the Masonic scum, so willing to sacrifice themselves for capitalism, when instead it was high time to panic and loot and rob and crack skulls in place of working a job. At least as far as a decade ago, it was already time to give up honest work and for the poor to storm the rich and take from them because of what the wedge world order has done to the economy, what it has done to weaken and sicken us so we can't even work. Like me, I can't work. I can only play video games and make videos. And yet all I've been doing is making suggestions of what needs to be done that got me nothing other than get me painted as a psychopath and hostility directed at me. I warned about the wedge world order, but was scoffed at as a crazy conspiracy theory nut. Only Fox News tells the truth. Everything else is crazy. Nothing is fact unless Fox News reports it. Well, where is my firearm so I can repel the low IQ savages? California has no Second Amendment, and I don't have one. Because retards like John Samul and the rest of his fucking generation has allowed laws to be made, anti-gun laws, and even supported these laws, so that I have to be completely disarmed. This $6 trillion in bailout money is going to hyperinflate the dollar so much. It will be like Weimar Germany. And John Samul will be working the same amount as before, but he'll only be able to afford a quarter of what he could afford before with what he makes. For example, back in the year 2000, he could afford to walk out of the store with $400 worth of groceries in one shopping cart. Not anymore. And of course, the soaring prices will make everyone recalcitrant about remodeling anything in their homes or getting any new kitchen cabinets or closet cabinets, because in this economy, who is going to care anymore about such a frivolous shit?